Test. Okay. Yeah. Currently, it's still not adding arrowheads, but these two red lines are drawn by using on these 4 lines. Make a connector and then use add line. Maybe I should change that to add connector. Does it typically, what does it take actually? Yeah, must be a connector. It takes a connector, that's for sure. Yeah, this. Let's change it into add connector. Just this is confusing, I think. On the other hand, in the end, it adds a line, I think. Or not. No, it does not. It's really, it derives from line or something. Now you would think I should be able to have 2 arrows, and I do. I think I can, if the plot connector here is constructed from here, and currently I'm calling this one with just a head too, which you can also add from in head. So this is then just the 2 head. And this value here is stored. What am I passing anyway? I'm passing a point and another point. Yeah, it's a begin and end point. From and to. So like here, that's from and to point. From which you construct a line piece. And the arrowhead shapes are stored in this object, in the connector. And then I call add connector. Right quit. Which is passed to add connector. Connector. So it's part of this plot connector. And I'm just passing a line style here. Do I have some kind of more general style? I think so. Get a shape style that I can use. But no, that would be for the arrowheads. Still. The line style contains what? Yeah, okay, just line stuff. Thank God. So we have to separately pass the data from the connector. Might as well do that here. I think that is arrow from and arrow head from and head to. Why is this called head? What is? It's just a shape, man. So that was more boring work, but this tiny rename here. Arrowhead shape from to and from. I wanted to pause this. Does this look correctly? Does it look correct? Let me think. So this is the plot connector. Not plot. This is not plot connector, but plot connector derives from this. Therefore, we can look at it, and it has an arrowhead shape from and to. That should work. Which I'm now passing as the last two arguments of the draw connector. Returns a connector arrowhead shape. Stuff. Connector arrowhead shape, but then from this namespace. And the draw line takes draw line. It takes all this. Seems you have to make a duplicate here of the values. This is in draw. Include Cairo window slash line, I think. Oh man, the connector. Arrowhead shape from and to. And I'll now save those. I don't know. It feels all wrong. I just know it is wrong. It's been a tough day to add arrowheads because I don't know. Can't wrap my arrowhead around it. It seems. Even if it compiles, you know, it still doesn't work. Nothing. No arrowheads. So what's going on? So I'm now making a plot container. Connector. And that contains just a mutable and shared pointer to a draw connector. Plus it's derived from the cairo window connector, which contains nothing except arrowhead shapes, and it is derived from a line piece, which contains the from and to point. Okay, then we do the add connector thing, which then adds it, and we do see that. Where apparently also this works, and the conversion works, and the line style gets across. And yeah, I guess that also the arrowhead shapes get across and make it into the draw connector, which we then add. Because plot connector draw object is a shared pointer to a draw connector. Let's see that if that's true. Yep. So creating the draw connector here. Contains that and is derived from a draw line. The line is initialized, that's what we see. We don't see the arrowheads. That's because I think I did not override, I mean. The draw line do draw function. If you go to line, draw line, it has a private, I think I'm gonna have to call it, or maybe not. It'd be nice if I could call it. Set the source, line width, move, if it dashes even, cairo stroke. Okay, what it returns is calculated. I would have to ignore that, I think. Let me think. I can split this up, I guess. Protected. Can't type protected. Void. Draw line. So now I override it. And that derived clause, derived from line. And I can still draw a line because it's a protected number function of line. And then this has to change because I'm going to draw my arrowheads here. Let's first check if this still compiles. What? Oh, can't access X11 anymore. Yeah, but we have to do this differently anyway. So I'm going to need those values, probably, maybe, most likely. Let's make them protected then. Let's draw a line. Let's make these protected as well. Everything still works. Okay, so now, after drawing the line, I want to draw my arrowheads, which means the following. I have to draw two shapes. I think I'll just have to add arrowheads here. So I'm going to have a standard shared pointer. To an arrowhead, but I don't think I have an arrowhead. I do have something. Yeah, no, mwah. Is this it, you know? Am I even using it? That's a whole new question. Oh, that's nice. I'm not using it. So delete this. Yeah, it's certainly not a key window. Gets this. This arrowhead can go. Do we include it somewhere? Not even that. You gotta be kidding me. Or maybe I am. I don't know. GS arrowhead.h. That's probably this one. That one too. Okay, got rid of that. So the problem now is this one. Nope. Oh man, connector. I might do with a shape, I think. Creative. I think shape should do some. Shape.h. Continuously try to compile. That still works. Now I think I should add those in the constructor, which I only have one, thank God. So here I should do, if we have arrowhead, then create them. For example, from first, if form is unequal, no arrow. It's Cairo with no connector, no arrow. But I think I just need this type or not. This is draw connector. Which has an arrowhead shape here using. I think it should just work then. So no arrow. Unequal no arrow. Then we have an arrow and then we make it arrowhead from make shared shape. And that needs a certain what shape is this? It's a draw shape. There's a geometry and a style, shape style. Pretty sure I had something derived from shape, which already took care of the geometry for me. So you can find that back. So I should not use shape here. Hey, Ellen. Yeah, if you hate something, then you'll never get good at it. So I wouldn't worry about where it is used in that case. I don't know, man. I'm not in a mood to motivate people at the moment. Why? Well, it's the only language I know and use, so I can use it for anything that I want. Controlling my PC, writing programs for my PC. I can definitely not tell you C++ can be used in the industry for your career in that area. And other languages can be used in other areas because, dude, I don't even work. I don't have to work, so I just do what I like, which is this, coding in C++. But no idea about... I have a very fake idea that if you would like to do machine learning these days, then apparently you need to know Python. Yeah, and I have nothing against Python. A good friend of me has become a Python programmer, and I respect it. C++, 30 years now, around. Ouch! Tering. Yeah, it was hot. I was feeling if it was hot. It was just turning off. I'm gonna make some hot chocolate for myself. So what are you studying? Let's begin with that. But really, I'm not Google. It's much better to Google your questions, I think, about stuff like that. What I'm good at is understanding compile errors. You know, you get 2 pages of complex compile error. Some people who just begin, or maybe even when they are already doing it for a year, would run away crying. But yeah, I just look at it and I know what the error is. That's the experience that I have. Yeah, well, what are you studying? You go to a university? If so, what is the subject? CS, I guess. What is that abbreviation for again? Computer science. Oh, here you are. Private, public. It's being used. Random YouTube channel, and you see it back. How more motivated do you want to be? So I really can't code and chat at the same time. I'm so bad at that. As soon as people say anything in the chat, and I'm like, what was I doing? No clue. There was an arrow here, right? He doesn't know what no error is. No error, connector, no error. Oh, you have to tell it that it is in connector. Well, at least it knows that. We are already in connector, but apparently the other connector. Well, why would it now know what it is? Because this connector is, I would say, that connector, not this one. Well, creative, you should learn things because they are interesting, not because what you want to go to do with it or how useful they are. It's just not the right mindset. I would really not think about it. What can I use this for? Something like that. So it doesn't help you. You should look at the subject itself, no matter how detailed it is, and then be fascinated by that. Feel fascinated about the fact that there is something called private and public at all. And then you go like, wow, what is the difference then? Not why, but what can I do with it? Well, maybe why. Why is a good question in this case, of course. If there was no public, then you would not be able to code. You cannot access anything. So, and then there was no private, and everything was public, which defeats the whole idea of object-oriented. So the private and public comes from that C++ is an object-oriented programming language, meaning that object orientation is a way of thinking, way of programming, and C++ is a language that has built-in support for object orientation. It's not the same thing, you know. It's not really C++ is not object-oriented. It supports object-oriented programming and thinking. So you have to first understand what object orientation is and what the idea behind it, what the structures are, independent of the language. And then you can use C++ to code that way, object-oriented. And the way I see it is that you have to, an object is in this case of C++, is a class. Struct and a class are the same thing. They just have different defaults for accessibility. Struct is by default public and a class is by default private. But since I begin every class with private, I might as well make this a struct and it doesn't change anything. Same thing. So every class is a user type. And it contains, of course, multiple, how do you make a thing like that? Well, you make a class and then you add one or more members, and they should always be private. Otherwise, you defeat the whole object orientation thing. So in 99.99% of the cases, all of these things are private. And I can look at this as the internal state. So every object exists of one or more other objects, let's say multiple objects. So they become more and more, they become larger and larger usually, if you build them on top of each other. But you can understand each of them in terms of that they represent a subspace of the values that they can have. For example, if you have a circle, I literally have that as example in this case, direction. This is a perfect example of object orientation. This is a unit vector, meaning that the length of the vector is 1. So you'll never see x being 0 and y being a half. Never. The total state space of these two values is, well, x can vary from minus infinity to plus infinity, and y idem dito, yeah? So the whole R2 space, basically. But a direction is a unit vector, so it's only a thin circle with a radius of 1. X can never be larger than 1, and never smaller than minus 1. So, and y is then exactly determined, except for a Boolean. So the upper over the lowercase. It's plus or minus the square root of 1 minus x squared. And then x and y together form a circle. And that's real space. So that's a subspace of the state of a direction exists of a subspace of the total space that it could be. If x and y are not in that subspace, the state of the direction is inconsistent. It's not what it should be. It's what it should never be. Yeah? The reason you make it private is, let's say, that you want to enforce the direction always, this class, to be always in that subspace. So, for example, you can construct it from an angle theta. You can pick any value that you want. The result is always that it is on a circle, because of the way you calculate this. Any angle. Here, cosine gives a value between 1 and minus 1, and the sinus also, but then this 1 squared plus that 1 squared is 1, as is required, because it's a unit vector. This, however, is not doing any checking, but okay, so maybe this is a bad constructor, because it allows you to create a direction with an inconsistent internal state. And theoretically, I didn't do that, but theoretically I should add here an assert, at the very least, So you could do x times x plus y times y must be equal to 1.0, but yeah, it's float, so maybe it's going to be 0.999999999, and then my assert will fire. So I would have to do more like minus 1 is less than 0 point, and then the maximum deviation that I want. And of course it can be plus or minus that, so we have to take the absolute value. the absolute value of x squared plus y squared minus 1 must be less than, let's say, 10 to the power minus 9 or something like that. Otherwise, I think something is wrong. The user's passing weird values here. Oh, now I need a new header because I use assert. Now here's another constructor that does enforce my little circle. You can pass the 2 points, to and from, and then it normalizes it. So it calculates the length of that vector. It just puts it in x and y. Well, actually, the vector from to from. Sorry, from to from. Yeah, horrible. But it might have any length. So I just calculate the length of that, and then I divide x and y by that length, and now it's again a unit vector, pointing in the same direction as the vector from to from. So there's one ensures this, yep. And then of course you also have, well, of course, you can also have operators on your class. And then the whole idea of an operator is that before you call it, you may assume that the state is consistent, so it's doing whatever you want. And after the operator returns, the state must be consistent again. Yeah, for example, I could add a member function here called rotate. Rotate so and so many degrees. Then if before it is a unit vector, then afterwards it will also be a unit vector. And well, the one that it was rotated by the angle that you gave. If the internal state was not consistent and it was not a unit vector, yeah, then who cares what comes out of it? So you can code it in a way that you use the fact that you are assuming that the state is always consistent. So I can't give more explanation right now about what operator orientation is. But maybe from this you can derive the importance of private and public. Private things give you access to the internal state, so you can screw it up. And whatever is public should not allow you to screw it up. It should be impossible. That's why this one is really bad, because it does allow you to screw it up. At some point in my life, I redesigned the IRC protocol to make it safer. So I've been on IRC and IRC user for a long time. And there are people that was precursor for every technical forum. If you wanted to know anything technical, you would go to IRC, and then there would be experts who, in their free time, and also during their job, who continuously monitoring the IRC channels and answering questions from beginners. At some point, I really had no time anymore to answer questions of beginners. but I did still hang out on those channels. So I would monitor the answers. And then when someone gave a wrong answer, then I would intervene and say, well, no, that's not true. So that's one level higher than the, you have the noobs asking questions, people that give answers, and I would correct the ones that were giving answers. And that was long ago. I'm not doing that anymore, really. I'm not answering anyone's questions. Certainly not of a random 17-year-old noob shoot. I would be a waste of my time, I feel. Sorry, but yeah, I don't know. If you were my son, I would do it. But if you would pay me more money than you have, I might consider it. But I'm just here to code, and then people can look over my shoulder, and that's it. Yeah, I'm 59. And I'm also on my way back. I mean, I'm getting so old that I'm not as good as I used to be. I try to learn new things, keep a bit up with all the changes. But yeah, mostly I'm just a dinosaur doing my own thing. Yeah, how much does it matter, Dreaming Warlord? It's both are old. Well, actually, I don't know. I've before I was 40, I always thought at some point. I mean, I've been using internet since it began, right? And so I chatted with a lot of guys. And when I was much younger, I thought 40 was the best age to talk with. So experienced enough in life to be wise and not too old to already starting to become, well, I'll use the word senile, you know what I mean. More stupid as a result of getting older. If you talk with, say, someone, teenagers are like, they don't understand anything of life. It's like they're still really kids. And then in the 20s, they are like, I know everything better, and I can do it better than you. And in the 30s, they're like a little bit more restrained, but still a bit too hyper for my feelings. And then, it's still macho things play a role, or being right is important, or stuff like that. And then at 40, you really have this, nice father figures that you're just, they know everything, but they are also willing to listen, and they don't have much problem when they're being wrong or being corrected or anything. So they're more open-minded for cases like that. You can really have a good discussion with them. And then after that, people start to get a bad memory, especially a bad memory. That's the worst thing for getting older. Memory going away, that's by far the main thing, I think. Although I am aware, my raw intelligence is such that it requires a lot of neurons. So I think that if my neurons of my brain are dying out one by one, slowly causing my memory to going down, then my intelligence must have degraded a lot as well. Maybe I'm just not as much aware of it. Yeah, probably. But you have the better memory of everyone. Your memory is going down already. I think your optimum memory is like 7 years old or something like that. So now it's the time to learn, absorb everything. Because later on you won't get the chance anymore. Well, not as much. Yeah, hey, oh, Happy New Year too to you. Ignoring Bishop. Yeah. I'm gonna try to get this working, guys, because it's so distracted here. So connector is a line with arrowheads, and we need to know then what the shape is, and we need to have those shapes as objects, because it's only being drawn when that object exists exists and is added to the plot. So adding them here is mainly for the lifetime. If then the connector is being destroyed, then the line is being destroyed and therefore not drawn anymore, or removed even. And so are the arrowheads in this case. So that's why adding them here is a good idea. And if I can help it, I will even assign them here. Or is that not a good idea? Yeah, it's a good idea, I think. My fan stopped. It's not. I have to, Warlord. I have to correct a little bit. I don't think I ever felt that 40 was the wisest. That's not what I said. Also, so I have to stress again that what I said was that I felt that someone of 40 was the most pleasant to talk with over IRC, so over internet. So if I was 40, then, you know, if you had a one-on-one connection with me and you were talking about your problems, you would feel that it was very nice to talk with me about that, something like that. If you have all kinds of life problems and you talk with someone of your own age, then afterwards you might not really feel helped or relieved or anything, because they lack the life wisdom, no, etc. But it's different with the way you say it. It's kind of different. I don't know. Yeah, I have been a volunteer helper of youth, specifically highly gifted, because they would outsmart the normal helpers. My English is very bad as soon as I deviate from programming talk, I'm afraid. But and psychological problems. So at some point, there was a volunteer in an institution of highly gifted school dropouts, for example. So they would have basically psychological problems as a result of not fitting into the school system, and to the point that they wouldn't just not function anymore in the system. And then they went there, but they were way too smart to be treated in a normal way. If you understand what I mean? I mean, just average psychologist, I guess, has an IQ of 130 or 120, maybe even. There are smart ones, of course, but yeah, it's scarce, you know. So you need someone. Usually you need someone really smart to understand those kids. And I can only say that all of them, they're just really interesting people, despite their young age. You know, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being young. Absolutely nothing. You're a wonderful, super interesting person. But, and that's just a fact, and that's the only thing I said, actually, really, is you only have 16 years of life experience, most of which you're not even aware of. It's pure life experience. Now, if you get a job, you learn how things work during a job. You get a run-in with your boss, or you learn, oh, fuck, if the boss says that, it's better if I do it, because otherwise you get this or that problem. You didn't learn that at school. You could just have a big mouth to your teacher and nothing happened. You see, that kind of thing. Or you can learn that at some point it really doesn't matter if you make yourself worried about how things will go. You know, you fill in, I can go there. I can go to the party, but maybe the girl will be there, and maybe this, maybe that. You fill it all in, and you have no idea if that's true. You can't predict it, and that's something that people usually also learn at a later age. That at some point, you know, you should not think about it. Don't worry so much. Just go there and then see what the situation is, and then think about it. Just little things like that. I still didn't code. Well, what shall I do next? I want to draw my arrowheads. For that I have to construct them. I was going to construct them here. For that I have to pass stuff to shape. Oh right, and then I think I have something derived from shape. That was it. Public shape. Arrowhead. There it is. I already have an arrowhead. And parties are not for everyone, including me. But it's, you know, social life is something that you have to learn as well. And if you don't see other people, then you won't learn how social interactions work. Which will probably rule out that you can be a manager. And so it's kind of bad for your career in a financial way. Not to understand how to deal with people, which is can be a problem if you never see people. But it can be a choice. I definitely made that choice at some point in my life, and despite that, I have much later, learned how to deal with people. But too late to start, say, a manager career where you just have where you are a leader of a group of people. I'm way too direct and harsh. Well, I have been. Let's put it that way. If now people are being a pain in the ass, I try, and I think I succeed in reacting, pretty optimal. I won't get mad. I won't call names or say bad things. It's better to say nothing than to insult someone. But I don't know. I'm not very good at it, I think. I'm better at teaching kids with autism how to deal with life, because I have autism myself and a high IQ, so I've figured out how to deal with a lot of things in life by raw intelligence. For example, I would tell, say, a teenager, I think best age here is maybe 15, 16, 17, who has autism. It can be an eye-opener to explain that people don't mean what they say, literally. And it helps if you make a semantical translation of everything anyone says. So you go through life, someone says something to you. If you react to that as if the sentence that they said is exactly like that, pure 100% literal, then you will be at least socially awkward or worse. Because that's not the case. So what you can do is you hear them out, you wait till the sentence is finished, and then you make a translation in your head. You just completely change the sentence from what they said to what you think they actually mean. And then you react to that. That's a huge trick that I taught myself at some point. And then I was already 26, I think. So yeah, I've been pretty autistic, I think, I guess. Until I figured out loads of social things like that. And then when you start to do that, you realize that, because one of the most important things here is that those autistic people often don't even realize that this is the case. They're like, what? People say things they don't mean? They say it different. Yes. And another thing, you can say the same thing in different ways. And then still, even though it's the same thing, so if after it is being said, the semantic translation is the same. Yeah. But the origin, so the thing that was said, can be different. And then still there is a scale from bad to good. You can say, I want better examples. I'm really bad at examples, sorry. But let's say you are a manager of people, and one of your the co-workers are just completely fucked up. They did something that in your eyes is incredibly stupid. Then the semantic translation of whatever you're going to say is, I think that what you did is incredibly stupid. Yes, that's exactly what's going on here. But then you can say that literally. You can say, John, what you did there is incredibly stupid. Please go away. I don't want to see you the rest of the day. Or you can say, John, I'm bad at this. Here we go. I suppose, let's say something like, John, maybe you have had a difficult day. You must be tired. Why don't you take the rest of the day off? If I were John, I would interpret both things the same way. Yeah, namely that I fucked up big. But it's still nicer to hear the second sentence. No, then you add fired. that's an action that is different from just the semantic translation. Was so the exact meaning is I think you fucked up. But he didn't say I fire you, right? I mean, or I'm going to fire you. No, neither. Yeah, back to coding. RxN, I'm using double because Cairo uses double everywhere. They just don't use float. So I can use float whatever I want, but then as soon as I eventually pass it on to Cairo, I have to convert it to double again. Oh, yeah, I think that it's a kind of wisdom that even coming from someone with autism is still something that most people, at the very least, don't even realize, and therefore might also be very useful if you are aware of it when you don't have autism or a form of it. To just summarize, listen to people, make a translation in your head to understand what they really mean. And realize that you can say things in different ways, and that some ways are definitely better and nicer, than other ways, even though they still have the same, semantic translation, the same meaning, same goal, or whatever is the word. I'm going to look away from the chat so I can pick up the coding again, although it's already 12:15. But yeah, I want to do something more. Yeah, okay, so I found my arrowhead, which is derived from shape. I think I should... I didn't write this for nothing, right? So this is what I should use instead. And that then contains data that allows it to draw itself, including a style. And all of that data is being passed to the constructor. And it is derived from a shape, but we do even calculations before passing stuff to the shape. And this I pasted in from somewhere else, and that shouldn't be there. No idea why that compiled. Arrowhead instead of shape. Okay. And what do I have to pass here? We have to pass the tip coordinates, while I have X and Y coordinates, and I'm pretty sure that this is the 2. The tip is the 2, although actually that depends on... It depends on the head. The head is of... Oh, this is the from head. Even. So from is X1, Y1, I think. So I pass X1, Y1 as coordinates of the tip. Yeah. And then we get the direction. The direction must point in the direction that the arrow would point. So we have to point backwards here, because it's the from. Where do I get that from? I'm afraid that is the difference between these two. And I guess my direction does not necessarily has to be a unit vector. Or does it? I don't know how to use it. I'm going to use it. Probably I'm going to use it as a unit vector. Yeah. Going to use it in a way that it determines the size. Well, it's a unit vector anyway, then maybe I should use a direction. It's the mathematical direction. Nothing to do with pixels or my monitor size. And a direction, as I showed earlier, is self-checking, and it turns itself into a unit vector, so I can just pass here something that points to the from. This points to x1, y1, which means x1 minus x2. Y1 minus y2. That's a direction, and then we get the arrowhead style. It's quite a big thing. Copy that. Yeah, so dot line color. Where do I get my line color from? Well, I think from the line style. Also has a line color. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a fill color though. I guess my connector needs more than a line style. Do I not already have that? Of course I have that. Or not. No, line even dashes, dude, what the fuck? But maybe pass it separately. A fill color here. Yeah, and you can argue that it has to be a fill color, that you want a different fill color for the head and for the begin and the end arrow. But then the end is yeah, the Dutch saying doesn't translate, I guess. Dan is het einde zoeken, wanted to say. Why am I having a line style here? Why am I not just... I mean, it's a bloody connector. Maybe you should have a connector style. Those styles are pretty annoying. Connector. Nah, I don't know. Let's get something working. So just copy it from the style right now. Line width. Position. Yeah, position should always be at the tip. So that should be the default here. So I might as well not give it. And then the shape is depending on the arrowhead shape from. Not sure that's the same type though. No, it's not, because this is the shape enum. And the arrowhead shape from is connector arrowhead shape. So I have to add something. Should add this as a member function somewhere. But of what? The shape is I'm already using connector, so let's use that. So the connector that has a no arrow must be able to convert that value to a shape enum. Oops, return static cost, shape enum. Yeah, that sucks. I don't want to use the draw namespace inside a non-draw namespace. So then now kind of it does not belong here. I can just put it in global namespace maybe. Oops. Well, global. Cairo window or wherever this thing is defined. Will this compile? No member name, no arrow. Inky arrow, blah, 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 that you mean. Cairo window connector, no arrow. Yes, I meant all kinds of things, but that's what I last meant. I used to have something in place, so it just showed me the first error. But yeah. No matching function for call to make shared. Can't construct arrowhead. Oh, this is a make shared shit again. And other functions that take the ... Rs, what is that called? Variadic template arguments or something like that. To tell it what the type is. Let's try to get the namespace correct as well. This is in draw. I think I just don't have a draw direction. I shouldn't. So this should work anyway. Direction is direction. And we're in draw already. Now we get the exact same problem for the other one, of course. I could have known. Kind of realized that would happen. No matching function, so the same error. But arrowhead. The next one is style. The blip. And then we were at no matching function for call to construct add. Looks extremely weird. So that makes shared and then what? What? Apparently that is a thing. Draw connector. This is plot connector. Draw connector, double line style color, fill color. Okay, I did not add fill color. Yeah. Chip. Remains problematic. Where do we get a fill color here? It's not in line style, so horribly. I just have to add it here, I guess. Fill color. But nothing works here. How can this be the only color? Add connector, I added a fill color after the line style. No, I didn't. Well, it's at the default color as well. The default fill color is color white. Yeah, compiles. Unbelievable. Parallel lines. Yes, thank you very much. No arrowheads. I didn't add them to the plot yet. I did not add them to the plot, but they are created, I suppose. Let's begin here. Add connector. It's like literally add me to the plot. We are in the plot here. Make a shared object which creates two other objects. Which also have to be added. I think adding it is actually the call to draw here. So we have to call draw on the draw object of I think the draw connector, right? The draw connector. Draw connector has two shared pointers, which which I do not have in X11. Maybe I should add a function that it just adds it to the layer, to a layer. Plot connector draw object is a shared pointer to draw connector. Which has this Cairo. Isn't it the assistant of the Pink Panther, Inspector Clouseau? One of the funnier movies scenes that I remember. This is Inspector Clouseau scenes with Peter Sellers. And then he has an assistant, an Asian butler-like figure who is also doing karate, kind of fighting. And he wants to stay sharp, Inspector Clouseau, so he instructed the assistant to attack him at most unexpected moments. So when he arrives home, he very carefully opens the door. And then with his hands like karate, it's like not real, but sort of like kind of funny looking. He just sneaks through his house and then jumps in a room. He's not attacked, so then finally when he went through this whole room, he relaxes. And then he opens the refrigerator to get a refreshment. And then Cairo comes jumping out of the fridge. He has been waiting in the fridge for hours, probably, to attack him. Yeah, funny. And then every time Clouseau loses, because he's the boss, he says something like, stop it, Cairo, come on, man. There is a time to fight and there is a time not to fight. And then Cairo feels... corrected, so he just he stops fighting. Yeah. And then Clouseau dan continues, and the time to fight is now! And then he attacks him, usually with some, I don't know, a heavy candle standard or something like that. Hits him on the head, so he instantly wins with a very brutal, unfair way. Yeah, funny. Two arrowheads. Let's think. Let me first get this to compile again. Oh. No, what? It's a connector that just added. God, kidding me. How is this even possible? So that's nonsense. I think I should include layer instead. But that also feels wrong. Definitely feels wrong. Underline definition, draw arrowheads does not match any declaration in Cairo in the connector. Is the other one const or what? No. Draw arrowheads, connector, Cairo in the draw. Oh, Cairo in the draw. And still nothing, right? Just not anything. Nope, still nothing. But it compiles. So now I have to implement my draw arrowheads. Which means that I have a layer and then we call draw with, and now I am in connector, so I have direct access to the arrowhead from. And we only want to do that if this is not equal to none. or no error. Right. No. My assert, the example assert, is actually helping us now. What about that? Thought it would be done automatically. Clearly, totally wrong. Was exactly that. It doesn't do it automatically. Those look like pixels. They are pixels, yeah. So I need to convert this myself or change the direction to do that. Why do we even have a direction constructor that takes x and y coordinates? Direction. Try not to have them at all. We'll just fake something horrible here. Just to make this compile it anyway. Oh, right, yeah. Okay. Okay, so these two should be able to do it, which means that I can make this private. And now the assert is definitely not necessary anymore, because if the internal state was correct, and then it's also such that after I don't know, swapping x and y and negating it, whatever, that doesn't change anything. I have a vertical direction here. I should make those, I think. Probably should make those by default. Oh my god. It refuses to do this because we didn't reach this closing brace yet. Therefore, direction is incomplete. Blah. Really have to get in hoops, jump in hoops here. Ridiculous. Now it is complete. I really don't see the difference here, but the compiler thinks otherwise, apparently. Now what? Okay, I saw enough. Expected. Oh. Yeah, and then it turning to definitely want to return directions here. More hoops. Those are some serious hoops. And then it works, right? Because this direction is now using that, which is this, which is complete. Nope, doesn't. Const expression variable cannot have non-literal const direction. Oh, I'm still using direction. What the... Okay, that was stupid. Yeah, because... Well, yeah, well, I can use the base here. Why not? Because my functions are going to take a base. I think. TS direction. And now I have to have every operator take a direction base. Yeah, okay, I'm getting that. This is not the right way. I don't like it at all. Let's remove this direction base. Percentage substitute direction base. Whereas let's go back to direction. And then yeah, I have to do something else apparently. How do I add this? Cannot do this. Okay, forget about the const expression then. Definitely const. I'm pretty sure I can add this to this class. Okay, window. Thank God we have that. Right. Calling a protected constructor. Okay, so still you have something using line.cxx. Yeah, I never get here, plus the whole code is not working. Yet, anyway. So comment this one out. Still no arrowhead. Anyone explain this to me? Hours and hours of coding and nothing changes. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know. Let's do a GDB thingy. Step through the code. Break main run list. Go to the point where we added connector break 97. Continue. Add connector. So I'm having a connector here, which has no arrow here, a filled arrow here on the head. The raw object is currently non-existent because that's created here. Step. Get XY values. Now the draw connector is created. Just creation. So I can do, I think, next. Yeah. Up. Print this again. I'm still creating it. No. Yeah. Yeah. No, we are past it. So we can print it here. Yep. Now we have this. And then we do step. Draw this. Layer region draw. Totally not what I expected. Oh, that's because those were just lines, I guess. That was this draw, which draws just a line. And now we're going to draw the arrowheads. Step. Arrow state from is no error. So next. And shape 2 is filled error. Step. Draw arrowhead 2. And that should be already constructed. It exists. Step. Layer region, I guess that's what we just passed. Layer region draw this. Entering layer region draw. Should assign the layer to stuff. Redraw. To draw. Shape. And what? And what? I have an arrowhead here, which is, well, that is an, it should be an arrowhead because that's what it is. Apparently my arrowhead is not overriding the do draw. Or does that not matter? Should I just draw a shape and that's it? Nah. More work needs to be done. Yeah, wait a minute, I think this is not defined yet. At tip, so it's not at corner, and it's also not at center, and then we don't do anything. Yeah, I don't know. There we are. 2 arrowheads. Except that they point in the wrong direction, but that's expected because I didn't rotate anything yet. Yeah, no. Rotate them. Also, this one ends like, well, after rotation here, slightly in front of a half distance. Was that before as well? Just wondering if the tip is at the right position or not. No, of course the tip is not at the right position. Tip is not at the right position. Why is the tip here? No, it looks more that this corner is at the end. The upper left corner. That is not what we wanted. Let's make the size a lot larger so you can see what happens. That's not in a diff, of course. There we are. Let's make them 10 times as large for now. Yep, now it's clear. Totally top left here. It should have been this tip here. So why? strange. I would say this should have taken care of that. What if I just subtract another 100? See? That is strange, isn't it? So subtracting stuff does move it to the left. I don't know. I'm going to bed. Tomorrow another attempt. Yeah, good night, people.